We'll all remember the hikes up the mountains where we kind of hiked a bit. It was interesting because some of the guys told me when we were doing that, they had never been on a hike before. And that was just amazing that we're out there hiking up some of the mountains in the area, and it was a first experience for some of the boys. But we would get up there and talk a little bit and process through what was going on, and we stayed together and stayed strong. I think it was, unless you win the state championship, you never have the success that we all think of as the true success, but every step along the way. When we get to the sophomore age, it starts to get a little bit more muddled because we have a JV and a varsity game, but it's really one team that we kind of split in half and play two games. We play the varsity game on Friday or Saturday, and then whoever didn't get a chance to play in that game plays in the JV game on Monday, and then we split the coaching staff in half, and some of the coaches that are the varsity coaches go to the JV game. So we do the awards kind of by class, so we'll be doing the sophomores now. So this is the sophomore class as a group with two additions. One is Chris Garrison and one is Matt Garrison, who I already mentioned. They're fresh to the offensive and defensive lines, and that's Connor Wynn. Yeah, this next kid I knew about before I even knew who he was, because I had a long relationship with Tom Hopkinson, or Hoppy, who drives our bus to the football games, and for a little while I knew his grandson was going to be playing. I knew his name, I knew who he was, but I hadn't met him yet. And then he started playing as a freshman, and I saw, man, that kid plays pretty well. He does a good job. And it was my pleasure to have him up with the older group this year and got to know him as a junior varsity player. He really did an outstanding job, and that's Gavin Worthy. Yeah, this next guy I knew pretty well as a freshman because one thing you can always do to catch my notice right away is be big. So this guy I got to know. He finally broke his habit of wearing this like real bizarre hat that he used to wear all over the place. But I used to know him from that as well. But he did a real good job coming in and playing line as a sophomore. We actually toyed a little bit with playing varsity with him a little. We just had enough upperclassmen with talent there where we kind of held him back. But a number of times in practice, we put him in at nose guard on the prep defense, and he would really give our guys all they could handle. Did a great job. That's Mike Sheehy. And this next guy, he started off junior varsity and really did a great job there. I've known him for a long time. He really puts a lot of pressure on himself. He's a very hard worker. He has a lot of talent as well. And he started doing so well in practice and the junior varsity games that we started looking at the real possibility of using him in varsity games, even though he's not the biggest kid in the world. And we ended up giving him an opportunity to do that. He really did a great job. He was one of our leading ball carriers even at the varsity level this year, and that's Pete Shea. Okay, this next guy did a good job in the weight room in the off season. He has a lot of the mental ability and the throwing ability really that you look for in a quarterback. I always tease him that he has to strengthen his calf muscles because they're so small he doesn't run quite as fast as I would like. And he's promised me he's focusing on that and he's going to do that. But he continually, I always mention to the players, it pays just to be there and to be part of a program, part of what's going on, and he continues to do that, and he keeps creating opportunities for himself, and he really did a fantastic job this year playing junior varsity quarterback, and we might have had some other ideas, but he's the one who came through in the end and really did an outstanding job, and that's Mike McNeely. Okay, this guy I've known, I coached him first when he was a real little kid. I helped out with a youth team that my son Wiley was on. I met this young man, and he was a real intense football player even back then, and I gave him this nickname, the Greek God, which stuck for a little while, but I didn't want to embarrass him, so we let it die off a little bit. He's been working hard in the weight room. He does a great job in the offensive and defensive line. He's got a strong career ahead of him. That's Demetrius Canella. Okay, this is a guy, I always like, you know, stories like Raven or Pete Shea, guys who are the undersized guy who comes through, or Mike McNeely, who might not be the fastest guy in the world, but he comes through, because these are all the kinds of guys you need to have a football team and have a team be successful, and that's really what it takes. This next kid is all of that. When he was a freshman last year, he got recognized individually for having heart and soul, and this year he really did a fantastic job on the junior varsity program, and he was one of the better hitters and tacklers on that team despite his size, and that's Lucas Eaton. This next guy has that size thing that I actually like to see, and you look at him, it's like, man, those big broad shoulders, and he looks the part of a football player, but he also does everything that you want a guy to do as well. The big test is when you're a big sophomore and suddenly you have to go out and the coach wants you to line up across from a big senior that's a couple of years older, a couple of years stronger, and see how much you're going to bring it and how hard you're going to try then. And this guy did that all year. He played prep defense and did a fantastic job there and was invaluable on the junior varsity team. That's Greg Brunette. Okay, this next guy was on the freshman team, and when we had camp prior to the start of the season, one of my goals every year when we have the camp is to find a kicker, find a long snapper, find a punter, and this guy really showed well there, did a fantastic job, especially in the punting, and he ended up becoming our varsity punter and did a terrific job with that, and that's Matt Garrison. Okay, this next guy, another freshman, he's somebody that's, you know, I already mentioned it, but when you take a look at the freshman team, only twice before in 10 years have we had freshmen play varsity football. The first one was Tommy Foote, who actually is playing football at Williams College right now and is a very accomplished athlete at the collegiate level. The other one is a guy that's in the room right now, Zach McCormick. Those two guys played as freshmen. This individual, similar to Tommy, not only played as a freshman, but he thrived and ended up earning some recognition on the state level, and that's Chris Garrison. Okay, this is another guy I've known since youth football, and even back then I remember thinking, man, I'm going to make this guy a varsity quarterback, and that's when they were Rugrats. And for years it was on my mind. There were a number of times where it seemed like it wasn't going to work out because he wanted to do something else, or this didn't happen, or that didn't happen. Finally this year we got him in fold, he was playing, and I took a look at him on the field and I was like, man, this kid's better now than he was when he was younger. This is going to be a lot of fun. Unfortunately, he had an issue with concussion and wasn't able to play quite as much as he or we would have liked him to, but he played enough to really have a good appetite for it, did a fantastic job when he played, and we're looking forward to seeing what he can do next year. That's Connor Benjamin. Okay. Before they sit down, what I'd like to do is just have Coach Willis just speak briefly about the junior varsity season, because I think most of your guys are here.
Thank you very much. I'm not very good at this, so I'm going to make it quick. I want to thank Rob for inviting me up. And, again, I came from youth. A lot of you know me, and Coach Braley. We get invited up, and it was a learning experience. I think I learned more than I coached. Fortunately, I had great players to coach, so they dealt with it. We ended up 6-2. It was a great season. The kids were respectful. I think Milford was a great game. Went into double overtime. We won, and I was so proud of them. We went out for pizza, and they behaved in the restaurant. It was a great time. I want to thank my coaching staff, Nate, offensive coordinator. He called all the games. He's very familiar with the offense and the boys and their abilities, and I think he did a great job. And left me, I was able to just manage the game as opposed to trying to call it. Coach Braley and I have been together for a long time, and he was the defensive coordinator, and he just does a phenomenal job. He doesn't like to give up points, which is something that's really good with a defensive coordinator. And I don't know, we just gelled really well. I think the boys enjoyed having us, and I just want to say thank you very much.
Okay, guys, sit down.